All right, call the Gladstone City Commission for July 27th in order. First order of business is invocation and pledge allegiance, and I'll lead with the invocation. Lord, as we gather tonight, we ask that you will be in our midst. Help us to make decisions that will be pleasing to you. Help us to be able to discuss the matters at hand in a reasonable way and be willing to give up having our own way. God, let this meeting be productive, and as it should be the case in all areas of our lives, help us keep you at the forefront of our minds as we do the work set before us. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, roll call.
Commissioner Nemechek?
Here.
Commissioner Gay? Is
He's absent, excused.
Commissioner Thompson?
Here.
Commissioner View?
Here.
And Mayor Bostwick.
Here. Okay, we're going to move along to public comment, but first we're going to have Eric Buckman talk about the water violation notice.
Well, unfortunately, I'm back. The second quarter, our trihalmethanes, the long-term running average is still over the 80. Our trihalmethanes for the last two quarters have been below 80, have been safe, gotten them down, but because of the high number we had in December, we're going to have to get them lower in order for us to get off the list. In the last quarter, we tried sodium permanganate preoxidizing with it instead of using any chlorine, and it worked really well. It dropped our haloacidic acid levels, which are also our disinfectant byproducts, but it didn't do a whole lot for the trihalomethanes. So our next step is we're looking at putting total organic carbon filters in at the water plant, which I've been working with the Calgon filter rep the last week and a half, and that's going to be our next jump in. We're going to replace about 24 inches of our anthracite that's currently on top of the filter and put powdered activated carbon, which would work just pretty much like the filters that you buy at the store to put on your faucet. It'll be carbon, and the water goes through the carbon and absorbs any organics that are in the water.
How close are we to getting off the list?
We went from 84 to 82. If we were 79, we'd be off the list.
Okay.
We're talking 3 parts per billion.
What were we last quarter?
We're 84. The samples came in at 76.
Okay.
And they were.
Thank you.
There's no health concerns for any of the citizens. This is as far as I kind of read the report. I
Yeah,
guess
no, like it says, it's a long term. The definition of long term has different definitions, but according to the bioassay, when they do long terms for the EPA, it's 70 years, 2 liters of water. Well, we've had one bad quarter. That's not 70 years, and
well, I just want to reassure the
Yeah.
citizens that the water is good.
and the water is legal right now by standards, but because they do locational running averages, if you have one spike and then it throws you up and it takes 3 quarters to come back down. Or
Do
2
you know the
quarters.
difference between the average bottled water and the city water? Is it somewhat this? You have no idea, because that stuff could be in a bottled water too. I mean, because it's.
It could.
I mean, I'm just trying to find
Yeah.
out the difference. That,
Yeah,
to
a
reassure the
good
citizens,
portion
you know.
of the bottled water in the United States comes from New York City tap water. So
Is part of the reason because we take surface water, not well water?
yeah, Menominey's in the same boat as we are right now. Manistee was And they're replacing, they're putting carbon filters on Wednesday, and I'm going down for that installation, see, and meeting with the rep. And City of Flint, City of Benton Harbor, there's more than that. I was just going off to 2014. In 2015, there'll be several more because of this locational running average. You have to take your worst site and use that average instead. Before, we'd take 4 samples and do a yearly average of the 16 samples at the 4 sites. Now it's just you take 4 samples from one site and you do an average of it. So
Okay.
if you get a spike, it's easier to have a problem. So
Okay.
What's the cost of carbon filters? Is it, I mean, just some idea, I'm
it's
interested.
probably going to be around $100,000.
And that's just one filter, or is that?
That's for both filters. And that's for, I don't know, I learned a whole bunch of carbon technology in the last couple weeks. And that's for a virgin carbon that's never been used anywhere. And then once we buy, there's a replacement program. Originally, they thought that the water plants would get 3 years. Manasteek's looking like closer to between 4 and 5 years on each. So what we'll do is we'll rotate and get 3 years, and probably replace one filter, and then on the 4th year replace the second.
So this is, the main installation is 100,000, and then the
Yeah.
upkeep is just replacing the filters?
Yeah, and what they'll do is take our carbon back to the Kelgon facilities, and I used to know where it was, in Indiana, and they regenerate it, and so it's the subsequent ones will be cheaper because it'll be our own carbon. Then they put our carbon in a special little carbon room for Gladstone, and then they.
No, I'm
Yeah.
just trying to see what the additional expense is going to
Yeah,
be in the
this is,
future
it's
for the city.
the replacing with the initial, they come in and they're gonna suck, they have, sanitary Vector truck that'll suck the top 24 inches of anthracite and sand off our filters, and then put the,
So the maintenance of this is going to be how much per year, or every 3 years? Is we're going to have to replace it, but not at $100,000?
but not at $100,000.
Just replacing the actual carbon?
I'll know more about the numbers as soon
Okay.
as I get the numbers, but it's gonna be significantly cheaper than that.
What's the estimate for where our levels will go with the carbon?
They are, I'll have some more numbers on that too. In talking to them, they had, they just did the Flint plant, which has filters just like ours, and they had a plant similar to ours down in Ohio, and they were getting like a 70% reduction. And then we send in samples of the carbon back into them every 6 months, and they track a thing called the iodine number. They throw carbon into a vat of iodine, how fast it absorbs it. When your iodine number gets to a certain point, they recommend a replacement. So. But this, the notice I gave you has not been, I have to have John Clark at DEQ approve it. He sent me what he wanted written, and I added a few things onto it, and then he'll look it over and then give me approval, and then this will, we'll post this in all the usual places that we do our consumer confidence report, and it'll be in the August bill, which goes out on the 20th of August.
Do we have to make a motion to buy these filters, Darla?
No, I'm not, I don't have the numbers or anything yet.
Okay.
I'm still getting this stuff, so.
Okay.
And we have to get a permit from the state to change our filters, so I'm gonna have to get that, I'm trying to get that fast track, so we already have the permit just about all written up. But I have to meet with the Kelgon guy this week to get the particulars on everything, and then I'll have numbers for the next commission meeting, so.
Well, being kind of new, do we have a contingency in the water fund for this?
Yeah.
Money? Okay.
Yes.
Good.
So,
Yep.
All
Thanks,
right.
Eric.
Thanks,
Bet.
Eric.
Yep, thank you.
All right, we'll go back to the public comment. Only on the agenda item on the front of today. and you have 3 minutes if you want to speak on anything. All right, hearing none. We'll go to the consent agenda, which is the City Commission regular minutes of July 13th, the Town Hall meeting of the 14th, DDA regular minutes of June 9th and 16th, DDA Subcommittee of July 6th, and payment of bills, which are none.
I move approval of the consent agenda.
Support.
Okay, we got a motion by Commissioner Nemechek and support by Commissioner Thompson for the consent agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, next is the unfinished business, financing of the fire truck.
This was at our July 13th commission meeting. Brought back some more information for you tonight, just to consider financing it through First Bankers. That's the company that is associated with building the truck. Got prices, interest rates from them. Bay Bank locally, First Bank locally, and then if we used the city electric fund. Just to recap, the total price of the fire truck was just over $331,000. We did make the down payment of $66,000 when we said, yes, go ahead and start making the truck. Our next payment is due around November of 2015, estimated about $95,000. And then the final payment would be due roughly $170,000 in February, March 2016. With Paul Geyer had a scheduled vacation this week. He is not with us tonight. And the next payment not due till November. I'm recommending tabling this until at least August 10th, when Paul can be back with us.
I'll move that we table it to August 10th, meeting 2015.
Support.
Got a motion by Commissioner View and the support by Commissioner Nemechek to table this fire truck financing to August 10th. All those in favor say aye.
Can we,
Aye.
Yeah, wait, you're right.
I mean,
Can we
I,
discuss it first?
Right,
Any
well-
discussion?
yeah, well, the only discussion I would like is if I could have the principal and interest separated for the places of, we're asking for the money. I just want to see how much more it's costing us to finance it that way.
Sure.
And, I mean, that's about all I was looking at. And then in the meantime, I'm going to check out the rest of the debt that the city has and see what
Okay.
it falls into place, so I can have a better picture on the affordability of it.
Any other discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor of tabling it to the August 10th meeting, say aye.
I
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right, next is the November 2015 proposed resolution and ballot language for capital outlay bond.
Okay, we worked with Steve Mann from Miller Canfield. He's a bond attorney. And Edward Jones helped us with the millage rate calculation. We have adjusted the totals. When we originally proposed this for the May 2015 ballot, the total was around 3.2 million. We've adjusted some of the totals per project. So the new numbers, just to recap that, for the fire equipment, the SCBA's and the thermal imaging camera, that kind of stuff that Paul's talked about, that's down to $200,000. City Hall repairs, $306,200. The equipment for the Public Works Department started at $855,000. That's down to $355,000. And then remodeling, purchase new, we had several different options that we talked about for the Public Works facility, is still at 1.5 million. So that brings the total up to 2.55 million. They are proposing a 20-year level debt service payment, 20-year bond. Estimated millage rate would be 2.015. And we've included the tax chart in here. For example, a home with a $50,000 taxable value, at 2.015 mils would be an additional $100.75 in taxes. If you have a $150,000 taxable value home, 2.015 mils, you're looking at $302.25 per year. But we've given all the ranges in between there, just pick two out to show as an example. So I'm recommending at this point, we set a public hearing, one final public hearing for August 10th. That's our next regular meeting. And then a decision would have to be made that night because by 4 p.m. August 11th, this attached resolution in ballot language would need to be in the county clerk's hands.
Two things to remember on the millage and what it costs people is that the average home in Gladstone is slightly just, it's around $40,000 taxable value. That's average. Also, we have to remember that if anyone is below the poverty line, they don't pay property taxes.
Yep.
I move that we set a public hearing for August 10th for public comment on the November 2015 capital outlay bond ballot question.
Support.
All right, we got a motion by Commissioner Thompson and support by Commissioner Nemechek. Any more discussion?
Well, the only question I would like, and I attended one of the public sessions on explaining to the public, and there hasn't been much of the public here, but I do get a lot of questions on stuff. Is it possible, at least for the commission, to have a itemized list of what you're actually going to do in City Hall and the equipment you plan on buying or purchasing so that I can be informed enough of exactly what this 20-year payment's going to be paying for? And this, and then if I can get it as soon as possible so I can spread the word to those that I see anyways. I mean, and I don't know about, I kind of know about the fire equipment apparatus because that was pretty well explained in the thing, but the rest was just kind of generically talked about. Because I feel that sometimes the council keeps going to the citizens for everything, which is fine, but I think right now it's real difficult to keep asking them, and I'd like to find different ways to get this stuff that the city needs, and actually to find out what the residents really think about what we're purchasing and remodeling. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, I'm just saying I need to really justify the way, because if I was to vote today, I ain't gonna say how I'm gonna vote, but you kinda know how I'm
It's
gonna
on
vote.
all those charts that we have.
Yeah, but I don't take
I
the
know.
charts home.
I know, they're here.
I mean, I see what the shape of stuff is, but I mean, you know, you're planning on buying brand new this.
Obviously, some of the numbers are down too because we're buying used, not new,
Right.
especially equipment-wise.
Well, City Hall's a big thing for me. You know, $300,000 into this building, you know. I know it's the windows and that, but they don't cost $300,000. How much more changes are we gonna have? And, you know, people have been asking me stuff like
Yep.
that, so
Yeah.
if that's possible, fine, thank you.
That's reasonable.
All right, any more discussion? All right, we got on there for a set public hearing for August 10th for the November 2015 capital outlay bond ballot question. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right, next is the November 2015 proposed resolution ballot language for the Headley override.
This was proposed at our last commission meeting, so I had, again, the same two companies, Miller Canfield and Edward Jones, prepare the language for us here. This would be the resolution that would need to be passed and the ballot question. Just kind of to recap this one, so the Headley amendment, the city charter allows the city to levy 17 mills in full. With the Headley rollback, it rolls us down to that 15.5021. A Headley override vote would allow the city to go back up to that original charter. So what the 15 mills rolled down to 13.6785. If we rolled that back up, that would mean an additional 1.3215 mils. And the difference between the question we just got done talking about, that's a capital bond. That money can only be spent on those 4 items identified. This Headley override would be for operational millage. So an additional 1.3215 mils.
Wouldn't it take us up to more than 15 mils, though? Because aren't we currently at 15?
15.5.
Yep.
Just that one line item would go back up to 15, and then we could still levy the 1.8,
So we'd be looking at the possible total of
16.8.
16.8,
Yep.
which would still be one of the lowest, but.
Well, I'd like to move that we drop this resolution asking the citizens for a Headley override. I think it's detrimental to what we're doing right now. We're already asking them for money. We've already asked for 3 increases in other areas in the city, and I think this is way overkill. I really think it's way too much at one time, and there's gonna be other entities in the community, Delta County, and that's probably gonna come back and ask for more taxes for the citizens. I mean, they don't look at just the city taxes, they look at their whole tax bill. And I mean, I was kind of shocked to see this on there. I understand why it needs to be there, and I understand where the city's in dire straits a lot of times, and I'm learning more for the future of what the city of Gladstone's looking for, and I just don't want to go after the citizens again for something else. I really, so that's all I got to say about it. I don't know if anyone wants to support it or not.
I'll support.
All right, we got a motion to drop the public hearing and the whole ballot question. Any more discussion on it?
I don't think it's the right time to ask for this.
I would be in favor of it because I think we need to give people the choice. Let them decide, not us decide. That's my feeling.
I don't want to even give them the choice. Not that well,
think
because
we
it makes it
have-
look like I'm asking for too much.
I think we have the
Dave.
responsibility to give people the choice. And yes, we are going to be in dire straits in 4 or 5 years because of the pension payments. This would definitely help that situation out tremendously.
Yeah, but it hasn't helped us in the last 20 years. Every time they raise taxes, every time they raise...
I'm telling you that we are going to be in dire straits in 4 or 5 years, and we're going to be putting $600,000 more into the defined pension plan than we are today. That's what's going to be asked of us. Now, we have to be able to pay it somehow. 1 mil in Gladstone, remember, 1 mil only generates $100,000. We have a very low tax base. My feeling is we should give people the choice. And I think there's been enough with taking inventory of the lakefront property just to see what we could sell if we had to. I think people are beginning to realize that with the defined pension plan, unless something changes, we're going to have to scrape every penny up we can to meet those. And this would help do that.
Well, I'm not sure if this is the time to actually do it with 2 ballots in November.
2 ballots just from us.
Yep.
Yep.
All right, any more discussion? All right, all those in favor of dropping the Headley override ballot question, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Oppose?
Aye.
Commissioner View? Do the
Yes.
roll call. Commissioner Thompson?
Yes.
Commissioner Gay is absent. Commissioner Nemechek?
No.
And Mayor Bostwick.
Yes. All right, motion carries. All right, next is the new business, is the Gladstone Varsity Cheer Team 5K Color Run.
Yep, we had an application submitted to us, special event permit application. Jamie Lippens is in the audience here tonight to answer any questions. The date of the event is September 12th. We've never had a color run in Gladstone, so I know we had a couple questions. If you don't mind taking the podium, and can you tell us a little bit about a color run?
Well, a color run is the same equivalent to a 5K, except there are separate stations where you would throw a non-toxic, biodegradable color at the runners as they go through. It just makes it fun, festive, a party.
Oh, I see.
So,
It'd be really cool on a nice warm day like today.
oh yeah.
You wait till the leaves change.
Oh, yeah, no leaves changing. And the page that you just received right before it started
Yep.
talks about the dust that gets thrown. So there will be 4 color stations throughout the route. And we would douse them, we're talking about like ketchup bottles kind of things. You would dump it into there and you would squirt them at the runners as they went through. And then we would meet back at the football field and just have another big color douse there. Bark River just did this last year and it went out wonderful. They had 200 runners participate in it. Great fundraiser for them. So it was something different to bring to Gladstone.
So do the people running, do they usually wear white shirts or?
Well, when they sign up, they will get a white T-shirt that says Colorthon on it, I believe it is.
We're going through a company that's going to provide everything for us, but this is some of the advertising that they're giving us to put out. It's kind of what.
So with their donation, they get a T-shirt and a color package.
Okay.
And then we also get other things to douse them with as they run
Okay.
through.
So it's open to anybody.
Yes, absolutely.
And what's it cost?
$30.
$30.
So
Which
is that
is-
a run and a walk or just a run?
Oh, it's run,
Either.
walk.
Okay.
If you
A
can't,
lot of people walk. It's not a timed thing. It's not a
Okay.
competition. It's just a fun, you can walk if you want the whole thing.
Okay.
Well, I'll move that we authorize the approval of the color run for the Gladstone varsity cheer team.
yay.
Support.
All right, we got a motion by Commissioner View and support by Commissioner Nemechek to allow to authorize the varsity cheer color run for September 12th, 2015. Any more discussion?
No, just a comment. I'm glad that you're taking part in our community and doing stuff like that, and I hope more people do.
Yeah. You're welcome. Thank you.
And the route is pretty much just in town, right?
Right.
That's- Okay,
It's on there.
yep. Wisconsin, Minneapolis, Lakeshore, okay.
So the 4 stations would each have, they would be having color thrown at them and we'd have music playing. It's supposed to be exciting when they get there.
Okay.
Is this a special day or just, I mean, something else going on this day with football or any?
Well, there's a Nagani home football game the night before.
Oh,
So
okay.
the next day would be
Okay.
this.
Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank
Yay,
you.
Thank you, guys.
All right, next is the Great Lakes Fishery Trust Fund Grant.
I'm gonna let Nicole take this one. Oh.
Cheering in the hallway.
It's always nice when somebody happy leaves City Hall. Nicole Sanderson, Parks and Recreation Director for the City of Gladstone. Good evening. I am here to request our final permission to apply for our final grant for the trail system that's going to be starting at Happy Rock Shell and going to the terrace. Little bit of history, get you guys up to speed. In 2012, we applied for some engineering money for a feasibility study, and we were granted that money from the Hannahville Indian community. At that time, we did a lot of looking at the project, a lot of community meetings, seeing what people wanted. Was it feasible? A lot of the permitting agencies came to these meetings, the Army Corps and things like this. And with the Hannahville money, we were able to come up with a preliminary plan and complete that feasibility study. And it was said at that time that it was able to be built. So we started pursuing grant funding. The original cost was going to be $1.8 million estimated. So of course, we were going to have to do a lot of grant searching. So we did. And we were able to identify 3 major sources: MDOT, Michigan Department of Transportation, Michigan Natural Resource Trust Fund, and the Great Lakes Fisheries Trust, the one I'm here tonight to ask you for. With all 3 of those grants paired together, we have enough money to build this trail. But just to be sure, because it was in 2012, MDOT had asked us to go back, look at the site again, make sure asphalt costs didn't go up or whatever, anything else can. So we revisited it, reworked all the numbers, feel very confident that we're going to have enough money from these 3 granting sources to build this trail. They were a little surprised that the City of Gladstone could pair these grants together and not use any general fund dollars or any of our dollars, no matter what, to get this trail built. Things like that just don't happen, but we've been very successful in the past by doing those. So they said, well, you need to have some kind of commitment from the city. So we did say that we would put $9,000 towards this project. In the meantime, Jason Davis, the assistant director, had heard about the Iron Bell Trail. This is the trail that the governor wants to have done. It's his project that he would like to have done. Our trail is going to fit in with that. They are very impressed that we're able to pair all of these grants together. This is a very ambitious project. It's very unusual. And they just awarded us another $25,000 to do with what we'd like. So with the 3 grants that we had applied for, we had enough money to build the trail. Then we threw in $9,000 because they thought that we needed a commitment, MDOT did. And now we have an extra $25,000 to do with what we'd like. We feel very confident. We're as confident as we can be that once it goes out for bid, we're going to have enough money if we get all of our granting sources in full. When a project like this goes, this is a pretty simple project. There's not a lot of paring back. You can't really. Sometimes you can make showers smaller or piers shorter or things like this. This one you really can't do too much to. You have to almost leave it that way. But there are some things that we could adjust if it does come in over bid. But say it comes in way over bid. We don't have to do it. We say if we don't want to do it, we don't have to do it. We're not committed. If it is not within our means to do with the grants that we get, we don't have to do it. The other question that comes up is maintenance. How can we think about putting something else in the city when we can't afford to do anything else? Trails are probably one of your most inexpensive things to maintain. We've had a lot of interest with groups like Friends of the Trail or a committee that is formed in order to maintain this trail. You see this in other parts of Michigan, well, throughout the country. People take over these trails, they run their 5Ks on them, they become the Friends of the Trail. All the information that we've gathered so far has pointed to the fact that we're going to have to go in and open it up in the spring and basically close it down in the fall. We're not going to run it in the winter. We're not going to plow it. We're not going to keep it open in the winter. And MDOT has told us, because it's on their side of the road, they're the experts, that they don't feel it's going to be a huge maintenance problem. They think go out in the spring, clean it up real good, brush it back. In the fall, the same way. If something happens, you get a sandstorm, you get something, an accident on the highway or something, yeah, that might call for some extra maintenance. In order to get one of the grants, we did have to go into a joint agreement with the townships. They want as much people involved, sharing services and building these trails. They know that one community can't do them, and they want to do it throughout the state. So they had asked us to get into an agreement. So we did, and we were able to sign an agreement with Escanaba Township for maintenance costs. So they'll be helping us out to maintain it. We figure $5,000 a year. Don't know. I can't look you straight in the eye and say it's going to be that. It could be less. It could be more. The trails that I've taken care of here in town, the boardwalks, things like that, don't compare to this one. This is going to be a completely different trail. So it's an unknown what the maintenance cost is going to be. But I will tell you that we've been very successful at getting these grants. This has been, almost 3 years in the making now. A lot of people have put a lot of time and energy and effort into this, and a lot of people are very excited about the idea of this trail and the anticipation that once we build it to the terrace, that the other communities will continue. The governor is very excited about it. Thank you for doing this. He says, you know, this is great. You're showing other communities how to do it. So tonight I'm here to ask you to allow us to apply for the Great Lakes Fisheries Trust Grant. That is in the amount of $300,000. That's a foundation grant. And that grant provides monies to communities that provide fishing to areas that have no law, that previously didn't have fishing opportunities, which the stretch does. So
There are rest areas, right, that people could fish right?
the Great Lakes Fisheries Trust, the grant that we are going to have they're going to be the one, those will be your fishing platforms, rest areas, areas to observe wildlife, just to reflect. But also there's a bass fishery out there that a lot of people, I've talked to some people that have lived here their whole lives have never been on that shoreline because it's not accessible unless you have a boat, and that boat has got to be a very shallow bottom boat. So it's going to open up an area that people have never even been to. We live right on it and we've never been to it.
And most of it's not in the city.
No. But we did try to do it all the way to Escanaba. It was just too big of an elephant for me to eat. I'll go to the terrace, that's about it.
What's this trail made out of?
Asphalt.
Asphalt.
10 feet and 2 feet on each side. Requirements from MDOT, which is, I probably wouldn't have built something that big if I had my druthers, because I'm not used to something that big. I'm used to maybe 8 foot. That was huge. But MDOT requires that. So in the long run, and hindsight, of course, I think we're going to be happy that we did that. You have enough room to pass. So you can have two-way traffic and be safe.
Does any fill have to take place to?
Oh, heck yeah.
Horrendous. That's most of the cost.
That's gonna be, I mean, that's, like I said, the trail itself is quite simple. We have to extend some culverts, and we have to do some permitting for bottomlands to make sure that, especially, the hardest part is right by Happy Rock Shell. That whole area right there where they brought in, years ago. That was one of the main concerns. The other main concern, of course, was the Escanaba Bridge, when we were talking about building it to Escanaba. So the two main concerns was the Escanaba, like by Verso, and then a Happy Rock Shell. So we're taking care of ours, and then we're building it to them, and then they're going to have to take over from there. If we build it, they will come.
You visualize the trail grade to be about equal with the highway?
Yep.
Once you get,
Yep, it has to be. It has to be because of the high water.
right, that's what I thought.
And the ice heavings and the different things. And I keep telling everybody, I've been writing grants for 16 years for the city. I've been very fortunate. But I've never written an MDOT grant. And MDOT speaks a whole different language.
Yeah.
I'm learning lots of acronyms and lots of things. But they are very good at what they do. They have a lot of very talented engineers, and they know a lot more than I do, so I'm taking their advice.
Right.
And they say where I build it, how I build it, and when I build it. And I say, yes, sir.
Well, thanks for doing a good job. I
Oh,
move
thank
approval
you.
that she can access the grant.
I support. Okay, so we have a motion by Commissioner Nemechek and support by Mayor Bostwick to access a grant for the amount of $300,000 for the low baiting Ock Trail. Any more discussion?
Well, she answered my question is, it ain't gonna cost the city anything to have it built,
$9,000.
even with that 25,000 extra?
Right now, we are committed. The commission's already signed a resolution stating that we would put $9,000 as a commitment towards that grant, showing our intention that we are serious. Even though I did tell the granting agency.
So we lose that if it doesn't go through?
We use that.
We used that already, that
If it does go through, we can use that money,
the 9,000?
the 9,000.
But you got an additional 25,000 also, correct?
Yep.
And that has to be used on there too?
Once we put the project out for bid, it can come in under, and then you decrease all of your grants by that amount. So instead of having $300,000 from the Great Lakes Fisheries Trust, we'd take $275. Instead of $9,000 from the city, we would take $6,000. And exponentially, we do that
Well,
down.
the only thing is, I'm coming in midstream, and I noticed that we're spending $9,000, which is for a good cause. I'm not saying that. But on my other hand, I'm hearing these comments that in 4 years, we're gonna owe all this money, and we're committing to something that I guess we're gonna practically get it for nothing. I mean, $9,000 for $1 million for a nice walkway.
Let's say to get 1.8
1.8, but
million dollars for $9,000.
the only problem I have is we're still spending money
Yeah.
we don't have, and we got money that we're gonna be owing that says the city is gonna go bankrupt, and I could care less about a walkway if we lose our city. And the other thing is the legacy cost of this. How are we guaranteed that the city of Gladstone get the bill for whatever needs to be done with, whether it's Mother Nature or a guy plowing through with his car and wrecking something or doing something would be covered by insurance, I would think. But I'm trying to look 20 years down the road, is all I'm trying to do. So, I mean, if there's friends of the trails or whatever, is there commitment we can get from whoever these are that they're gonna absorb whatever expense, because you don't even know the expenses. You said, what, 5,000 a year?
Right off the top of my head, I couldn't even tell you if that's even close. That's what MDOT has told me.
Okay.
But personally, I haven't taken care of a trail like this, so no, I can't tell you.
I mean, great, you did great, you got a lot of money, you're doing a lot of good for those that like to hike and for the community. But how do I mean, I guess I could vote yes on this because we're just preliminary trying to see if we can get all the money, but I think in the end, we'd have to know exactly what it would cost the city in order to continue with this and what other organizations would help out. Because I can't commit the city to spend more money than what we have, personally myself. And if the citizens say, hey, go ahead, go in debt, do this, do that, and they talk to me, I'll vote what the citizens want. But right now, I just can't commit myself to that personally.
Well, and I think that's probably your personal choice, because, I mean, if you
It
can't,
is.
you can't talk to every single, person in this, you haven't been to any of the community meetings that we've had and had the support. So this is a personal, choice that you're making, which is fine, and I
No,
completely agree.
my only personal choice is to look that Gladstone will be here 20 years from now without debt. That's what I'm looking at. And the decisions they made 15 years ago are affecting us now, and not making some of the good decisions on how to eliminate debt and keep the cost of things down. The decisions we make today will be a legacy 10, 15 years from now. I truly believe that, because if you make a bad decision, and you like this here, what happens if it costs $25,000 a year for that trail and we don't have it? Does it get deteriorated and all this taxpayer money I'm not saying that's gonna happen, and I'm not saying I'm against it. But I need to know exactly how it's gonna turn out to some extent that everybody feels confident in it. And I'm coming in the middle, so I apologize for not being up
And
to
that's why
speed.
I gave you the history on it.
Yeah, and I appreciate that, But I just wanted to make them comments so you knew where I stood on spending money from the city that it doesn't have.
Sure.
We have other asphalt trails in town, don't we?
We have some, most of them are boardwalks, but like the ones through the fitness trail and things like that, we're actually getting ready to redo those, so I'm gonna have a better estimate on the cost. We did some of our trails in cement to see what the durability was, like the one around the west end of the harbor, we did that one in cement, as compared to asphalt or bituminous or whatever you'd like to refer to it as. And they take maintenance.
How long have we had the asphalt trails?
Before me. So and I've been here 16
Yeah,
years.
we don't do a lot, we don't seal them every year.
No, I've sealed the one at the campground, and I did portions by the large pavilion, but other than that, I haven't. They tell me that asphalt, of course, holds up much better if you don't drive on it. It's kind of like carpeting. Don't put it somewhere that you're going to walk. Put it in a bedroom where you're just going to look at it. Asphalt is the same way. So with non-motorized vehicle trails, it lasts,
So it should-
you
it
can't
should-
compare it to a road.
It should last a long time.
It
with minimal
really,
maintenance.
there's questions because of the weather, of course, rain, snow, blow in, all of these things. The way that they're constructing it, with the riprap, that's gonna absorb a lot of that. And then it has 2 feet, and then it's got the 10-foot trail. So they keep telling me, which, like I said before, I tend to believe them because they know much more than I do, that we're not going to have that we're overthinking it, although it's good to bring up those points. It's probably going to last for a very long time, but the bottom of the lake drops out. We never knew about it. You're right. You know.
Yeah, well, Mother Nature is what I
Yeah.
worry
So I
about.
mean, we could sit here and say, you know, all day long that something could possibly happen to a playground, to a slide, to a campground, to anything. You know, is it worth? You know, is it a trade? That's what we do all day long in the Parks and Rec. You know, is it something that, you know, is a good choice? So I can appreciate your questions, Commissioner View. I really can. It's not something that I take lightly either.
Well, I just remember when I was a kid, my dad used to throw me in this old beater, and we'd ride over here and watch the highway erode away at certain times. No, many years
I
ago.
remember that.
And then that's where all that stone and that went. And all these engineers and the state highway department says there's no issue with that in the next 10 years, 20 years when the lake level.
We have to get so many permits, and that was one of our first meetings, because we really didn't think it was gonna go, because that was our stumbling block, was that area. And without, you know, signing the permit and saying everything's okay,
Oh, yeah.
they basically went out, they looked, and with their knowledge and their knowledge of the area and the topography and the institutional knowledge they had, they gave us their best guess too, and they said, you know what, we think it's gonna be okay. It might not be. They might get out there, they might drill a hole, and the whole project might stop.
All right, any more discussion? All right, all those in favor of allowing the Parks and Recreation Department to apply for this grant? Say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank
Thanks, you guys.
Thanks, Nicole.
I'll get right on the last one.
All right, next is City Hall and Electric Department cleaning.
The city used to have a full-time cleaning person. That went away, I want to say 4 years ago or so. Since then, we've contracted out the cleaning of various departments within the city. We've been with the same company for quite a few years and have worked with them, tried to work out some differences, and haven't really been satisfactory with the work level. So according to the city's purchasing and bidding policy, when the total price falls between $5,000 and $10,000, we solicit bids from 3 vendors. We went ahead and did that. We're looking at prices from just over $6,800 annually, $7,500 annually, or almost $10,000 were the 3 prices. And we are recommending going with SCI Cleaning Maintenance. They are right in the middle of $7,500. And we have under contracted services, under City Hall, that's where this line item is budgeted. But our policy does not, it states that we do not have to accept the lowest bid. In my opinion, we're not happy with the lowest bid company, so let's try another one and see how they do.
I move that we accept the SCI cleaning proposal.
Support.
All right, got a motion by Commissioner Nemechek and support by Commissioner Thompson to accept SCI cleaning proposal. Any discussion?
Well, I just want to make the comment that I checked into this today, and I know the bid is a little bit more, and I'm going to support the motion because of the quality of service that I was told by staff today that was inferior to what they expected. And you get what you pay for, and they're going to be expecting a better service with this, so I think it's probably going to behoove us to have that for the City Hall and what, the DDA building?
Electric Department.
Electric
Yep.
Department.
Yep.
So I just wanted to make that comment on, because there might be some backlash on this or something, I don't know, but it's just the way it is sometimes. And I was also told that this could be looked at again in another year.
Yep.
It's not in concrete forever and ever and ever.
There's no contract we signed, so.
You know, so it's a move forward for the betterment of the community in the cleaning process of the city.
All right, any more discussion? All right, all those in favor of accepting the SAI cleaning proposal, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right, next up is the authorization for a digger derrick truck purchase in the electric department. Mark?
Good evening. I wanted to bring forward an opportunity for you to consider tonight to continue to provide quality service at an affordable price. And the reason I say that is we have a truck that I've got some numbers from the guys, so I don't have the exact years and dates and stuff. I'll give you generalities about it. We have an old digger derrick truck, which we purchased from Elder Delta. I don't know what year that was we purchased it, but we bought it used from them. The truck has over 200,000 miles on it, I'm told. It's in the early 90s, approximately. I don't have the exact dates and stuff exactly, but that's what the guys told me. A digger derrick truck, if you don't know what that's, I'm learning some of these things too, quite honestly, but digger derrick truck is what holds, we'll dig a hole for our utility poles to go in the ground. So it's got an auger that'll auger it out. They'll hold a pole in place to be able to set another pole, to put a new pole in place without discontinuing service and stuff. So so to have two of them is important. To be able to do that, to continue to have service and to do that. If a car hits a telephone pole, which they have, since I've been here, that's happened, they'll shear them off. That's the truck that comes in and will hold the pole up in place so the pole doesn't fall over. So that's what the trucks in general are for. Lifting transformers, they're heavy. That's another use of them as well. We had in our CIP budget, which is in our master plan, we identified $200,000 to purchase a new truck in the 2016-17 budget. So obviously we're not there yet. But this truck, I was approached, and the guys were approached. A vendor was in talking to us about some other stuff. This guy doesn't gain anything from this transaction. He was just telling us about another customer of hers in Wisconsin that had a used truck for sale. They just bought a new one. And they were going to put it up for auction, basically. So he just let us know about it. I approached Darla about, is it worth us looking at least? And so I sent Skip down to take a look at it, just to get an idea of where it is, just to see what it looks like at least. Will it work for us, and just see what sort of shape it was in. Skip came back and thought it was really good. It's got a lot of lift capacity and a lot of pressure. Our existing truck that we have is quite honestly wore out. You'll hit some of the rock areas and it won't even go. So the guys have trouble with that. Actually, they say the best thing on that old truck is the winch. It's got a great winch, but that's about the only thing they had good to say about it. So anyways, in the packet were some pictures of the trucks. As much as anything, do we need to buy it right tonight? I mean, I don't know. I mean, that's up to you, obviously, but I think we need to be looking at ways to buy equipment down the road to help lessen the effect on our budget. Because one thing I know about equipment is it's kind of like Neil Young, rust never sleeps. It just keeps going. And, with our equipment, it's just going to keep raging too. So we need to still be looking for those opportunities that are out there. So I just wanted to bring it to your attention. It's out there. If it's worth going for, I wanted to budget next year anyways for the truck.
Does this truck have 18,000 miles on it? Is that what I'm reading?
Yeah.
Okay. How much do you think we can get for the old truck?
So, good question. Probably not much.
5?
I don't think we'll get that.
No?
Is it compatible with this on any of the parts? The old truck?
The auger. We can use the old
I mean,
auger.
because an auger must be expensive.
Yeah, the auger is the only part that's actually that we can take off the other truck.
None of the
and use.
hydraulics or nothing would ever?
No, this one, if you see well, I didn't put all the pictures. Skip took a whole bunch of pictures, but yeah, the hydraulics are very strong on this truck. It'll do anything we need to do, and will last a long time too. So I was just bringing it to you, so rather than trying to go from spend $200,000, let's see if we can bid whatever too. I mean, I just set up to 40 grand because I put some comparables in here.
How many polls do you think we set a year?
It just depends. You know, quite honestly, I don't.
Average.
Last 4 or 5 years?
Yeah, I don't know because I haven't been here that long.
Right.
We could find out, but the.
I'm just curious if, you know, I mean, do you spend $40,000 on a truck, or do you just contract it out if you only do a couple a year?
Yep, that's a good question. I mean,
good.
you know, I don't know. The problem is a lot of times, like if a pole's hit or something, you know, you gotta go deal with it. So then,
We got a lot of options in the area, I mean, you
Yeah.
know, for emergencies.
you know, so, but it's just out there. We have again, aging fleet. I'll probably be back here talking about the same thing with DPW stuff, quite honestly. And just if there's an opportunity out there, I think we need to be open to it.
Well, Mark, there's 3 pictures of 3 different trucks.
Yeah.
What exactly are those?
Those are comparables, just to give you an idea. We did a little homework. Well, what do they really cost, you know?
Okay.
This truck in Wisconsin is not like on the public auction blocks or anything. It's just a word of mouth thing that was given to us as an opportunity. So we're just
How many
wanted
years
to-
of service will we get out of this used one? Would you, if it's kept up?
Oh, it's gonna be,
Well, I'm just saying, is it just for 5 years, or is it for,
I bet we'd get at least 10, I mean, out of it. I mean, it's got 18,000 miles on it. It's, I
We
mean,
park-
we don't drive it all
We
over.
park it indoors,
Yeah, they're kept indoors.
not
Yep,
the weather?
yep. So it should last a long time.
so if you can get this for $40,000, you're saying that next year in your budget, you have projections of $200,000 for a new one
Right.
that you're gonna come back and ask us for?
No, we wouldn't ask for a
No, I
truck
mean,
next year.
if we didn't get this one.
No, I might, I'm just saying, as with the boards aren't here now, but as with the DPW, the millage on the equipment, that was at 850 something, and now we're down to 355. I just think we need to look at some different ways to get some equipment in here that'll last us, to get us through that time period. You know, and
And we have the money for this, right? This will be
in our
paid for-
reserves,
Will this be paid for with
Electric.
their?
Fund balance, electric fund balance.
yeah, so
mean,
this
so-
would go back into the department where it came from, yes. So that's, I'm just bringing it to your attention. We can offer, I wouldn't go in at 40, quite honestly.
I don't have any problem with us
Right.
trying to save $160,000 today to buy something that's worth 39, 40,000, or even to get it less. If we get 10 years of service out of it, and you're not gonna come back and ask us for something
No.
else. You know, and we have the money to buy it, so it just makes good common sense to at least make the effort to do it. So I'm gonna move that what are we doing here? Let me look. We give them permission to bid up to the, what is it? You want $39,000 to purchase this truck? Is that what it is?
There's no minimum on it. It's
But
just
you want us to go up to a
up to
certain,
40,000.
up to $40,000 for
Yeah.
the electrical department to buy this Digger Derrick truck, the used one that's pictured here. I mean, I trust your judgment. You
Yeah.
know, you have to know what's best for your department, and I think coming back here, telling us something where we have the money for, we need it, the other one, it doesn't do the job, and we ain't gonna have to worry about it for 10 more years, so I think our
Right.
budget could get stabilized within the next 10 years, where we could probably end up buying a new one in 15 years or something, or whatever. But I like the idea of used, of good used equipment, so.
Yeah.
Okay, do we have a
I'll
second?
support.
Okay, we got a motion by Commissioner View and a second by Commissioner Thompson to bid up to $40,000 for the digger derrick truck utilizing electric department reserve funds. Any more discussion?
I think we could exceed $40,000 in the next 10 years contracting out a few poles. So,
Well, we don't know how many polls they do,
No,
but we still want to know that figure, how many polls we do.
I'll get that information. It's a moving target.
Well, you know, but you
Just
can have an
kinda-
average over a
just an
period of
average,
time.
yeah.
I'll ask the guys over the last, 5 years what they've done.
yeah, I
But that don't have no bearing today anyways.
No,
I mean,
wouldn't
we're
take
saving
long.
money, even though we're spending money.
Mm-hmm.
It's still looking out for next year.
Right.
When you want $200,000 for one.
Right.
Okay, any more discussion? All right, all those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you.
All right, next is the MML Annual Meeting Voting Delegate and Alternate.
The MML annual meeting is September 16th through the 18th in Traverse City this year. Mayor Bostwick has already signed up to go. Commissioner View informed us today that he would like to attend this. Anybody else like to attend? Okay, so between the two of you, we need a voting member and an alternate. Do you have a preference? Who's the voting member and who's the alternate?
Don't matter to me. I can vote or I can be an alternate. Less responsibility. I don't care. What do you want, Jay?
Well, I can vote. I went to the last one.
Okay.
I wasn't an alternate. I was an alternate last time.
Oh,
so-
okay.
Do we need a motion on this or? You do, eh?
Also moved.
support.
All right, we got a motion by Commissioner Nemechek and support by Commissioner Thompson. All those in favor?
Well, I'd like to discuss
Oh, okay, yes, sorry, discussion.
Well, no, I mean, you're not supposed to discuss something until it brings
Right.
up on the table. So,
Yep.
and I just want to let the public know that it costs money to go to this event. And after talking with Darla today, she said it would be very informative for any commissioner that can go to it. It will help us make decisions, not to persuade, it might even persuade us in thinking a little bit different, because sometimes we come on the commission with our set ideas and we need to enhance them to look at everybody. And when she got done talking to me, I decided that I may need that a little bit, because my focus is fiscal responsibility, and maybe this will open up my eyes on how to be more fiscal, but yet being open with the community to do other things that need to be done, even if it costs us a little bit of money. And that may be hard for me to swallow, but I'm really trying to do what I think is going to be best for Gladstone 10 years from now. I'm hoping the decisions I make in the next 2 years, if I'm still here, people will talk about who was on that commission that all this stuff is turning out so good for, or so rotten. I don't know. But it costs money, and and that was one of the things I looked at when in the budget is maybe this travel could be done through phone, teleconferencing, the internet. I'll go to one and I'll see what I learn from it, and then I can make a better judgment on all the other travel that the city does. That's all I wanted to make a comment on.
All right, any more discussion? All right, all those in favor of myself being the voting delegate and Commissioner View being the alternate, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right, next is the city manager's report.
Yep, let's see. I have a few things tonight. Just a reminder, this Friday and Saturday, we'll have 125 boats, 250 fishermen. It's the MWC tournament launching right here out of Gladstone. So Friday and Saturday, our harbor's going to be busy. I put on your tables tonight, reminder, Lunch with the Governor's August 20th this year. It's Thursday. If you'd like to go, please let Kim or I know. So it is RSVP. We can get those tickets in advance. My staff and I are working on the essential and non-essential services list from the July 14th Town Hall meeting. If you have anything you want added to that list, please let us know. We can add that in our analysis. We talked about, I don't know what to call it, but like, something like meet with the manager down at the DDA building. I've scheduled 2 of them for August. Monday, August 3rd, from 3 to 5. That's at the same time the farmer's market is going on, so either inside, outside, weather dependent, where the vendor's set up. I will be down at the DDA building. And then Wednesday, August 19th, figure I'd put in an early shift there, like 8 to 10 in the morning. Anybody that wants to attend, feel free, come down and
So
have
them
some
are
discussion.
confirmed dates then? August 3rd, 3 to 5, and August 13th,
August 19th,
or 19th, see,
Yeah.
off already,
8 to 10.
8 to 10.
Yep, in the morning. Yep. Don't forget business after hours this Wednesday, July 29th, 5 to 7, downtown Gladstone here, sponsored by Water's Edge Chiropractor. I think there are other sponsors, but he was listed on the Chamber's website, so I think a lot of local businesses downtown take part in that. Have a new business to announce at the former Delta Pub location. Will be a business called China Lily, and they are hoping to be open this September. They're doing a lot of remodeling inside, so we'll have another restaurant downtown. I wanted to talk a little bit about, at the last commission meeting, at the end, Richard Juneau had some questions. One of them was a problem with the ORVs in the Marsh area over on North 15th Street. Who was responsible for that? That whole area, well, most of that area, the Delta County Conservation District has a lease with the state of Michigan for improvements in that area. They're trying to make an outdoor classroom. I do know some of the classes here in Gladstone have field trips there, and they go and do things in that area. But as far as enforcement in that area, that would be our Gladstone Public Safety Department. So if you see activity that is, shouldn't be in there, or things like that, just give Gladstone Public Safety a call. The second one, he said the ORV trail going over the railroad is illegal. We have researched a portion of the operating or over railroads and right-of-ways, and the committee that created the ordinance is also working on a route map. So we're going to forward this to that committee, and somehow they need to fit that in the route map, what they recommend for that. And then his third comment was he submitted a paperwork to Cape Splash to unveil new slide. It's a water park in Missouri. Just wanted to mention that in 2013, the city hired UPEA to do a master plan for our whole sports park area, which includes the tubing, the lodge, the ball fields, and a lot of other area around there. Proposes a lot of new development up in that area. It's going to take some investment. In fact, the plan calls for summer tubing. It leaves the hill as it is, and how they explained it to us is like you put down this white plastic. That way you have, the shape of the tube runs, and then you use the same tubes that we use for winter tubing, but then you would have to install, it's like a magic carpet to get the tubes and the people back up the hill. But all of that takes money and investment to do that, so. And then I just wanted to point out, he proposed a water slide, but there was a water slide in Mackinac City for many, many years. Very heavily tourist area there in Mackinac City. They even tried to heat the water to keep the people to come and use the slides, and they ended up closing. So I just don't think we have the temperatures consistently for enough days to put some kind of water slide in our sports park area, but maybe the summer slide is a possibility we can look at. But it is in the sports park master plan.
I think rip lines would have a better chance.
Zip lines are in the master plan as well.
It's zip lines, not rip lines.
So the rec board kind of prioritizes what grants we seek. So they talk about it. I attend all the rec board meetings, so. Lastly, we've chosen Thursday, August 27th, to hold an art reception for the current artwork that's on display here. We just call the artists back here, have a little reception for them. Public is absolutely welcome, and then they can take their pictures home at that time. And then we will go back to displaying artwork from the students from the schools.
What time will that be?
August 27th, like 6 to 7 in the evening.
Thank you.
We'll send letters out to the, to all the artists and then put a little clip in the action paper inviting the residents and anybody that wants to come. I think that's all I have.
Is that it? Oh, okay. Next is city commission and committee reports. The financial report for the 2015-16.
Good evening. Before you are the year-to-date reports through the month of June. There's just a couple of things that I'd like to note. One, on the general fund expense side, there is the department, the 441 DPW Administration Department. That is where all of the vacation, sick time for all of the DPW workers go to. And then I disperse that based on payroll. So that will eventually come out of the general fund.
What
So
page
I just,
is that on?
that is on page, well, they were mixed up. I put mine back in order. What page is the general fund expenses on, Darla?
1 of 15. It would be, you've got the department numbers there on the left, 441 DPW administration. 0 is the budget, but you'll see
An expense of
year-to-date
38,000.
That will be transferred to other departments based on payroll.
1 of 15.
Right here,
Okay.
the 441 department. 0 is budgeted.
Oh, okay.
So
Why
what
was
I-
0 budgeted?
It's not an expense of the general fund. What I do, it's all just tracked there. It's their sick and vacation time. And then what I do is print out payroll for the DPW employees, see where they have worked, and then that's where I transfer that expense to. It's all of their benefits.
So holding account, wash.
Yeah, it's a wash account.
Okay,
It'll end up being there.
okay, but if I read this right, your amended budget for 2015-16 is the first column, correct?
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay, what we spent year-to-date is the second column,
yeah,
and what we spent for the month is the third column?
yeah.
Okay.
So that's just one thing I'd like to note. The other thing that I'd like to note is that our audit is getting close to being done. They were here, set up in the commission chambers for a month and a half, and they finished up doing their work here, doing all of their testing on everything that they do. They're wrapping it up at the office, so we should be getting that shortly. And that would be for last fiscal year, ending 3/31/2015.
I called that place because they sent me a letter, you know, so I called them up and asked them, you know, what is the audit gonna tell me? I mean, I wanted to
I'm
know.
gonna tell you everything you want to know about the city's financial.
Well, that's, and I had a
status.
bunch of questions for them, and they said that, you know, to save them for when they come to the meeting, and I can let them know a little bit ahead of time what I want to know, but I'm curious, my main question, and I want to get it out there, is where are we heading? You know, I says, you know, if you're doing this audit, are we gaining ground, or are we losing ground? And I think that's probably going to be pretty important for the citizens in the community to know exactly where we're heading, so I just wanted to make that
And when
comment.
we do our budget, or our audit meeting with Ray LaMarche, who is the lead auditor, it is open to the public, so anybody is available to come, so. That's usually September.
Our report's due to the state of Michigan by September 30th, so.
Yeah,
Well,
we
I'm a slow
usually have-
processor. Once you tell me something, I gotta sit there and analyze it and say, okay, okay.
You'll have the audit report ahead of time.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah.
didn't want it just coming to me at
No,
a meeting,
no,
all
you'll
of a
have it
sudden
ahead
I
of
gotta
time.
think of everything and I can't.
And then he'll come and present it to us.
Oh, good. Okay,
Yep.
that was a
Yep.
concern, all right.
But did you have any questions on what's in front of you?
Thank you.
Thanks,
No.
Vicki.
All right, thank you, Ricky. All right, anyone have anything for board and commission reports? All right, next up is public comments on the items that was not on the agenda.
My name is Ken Levine. I live at 2722 South Hill Road, Gladstone, Michigan. This compost pile is coming to an end if we don't get any help. I got two people working with me left that don't even live in Gladstone. They live on Chasen Road. One of them is Manny Larson. The other one is Jim Getz. We cannot operate that. I'm not going to spend no more 48 hours in there or anything like that. Nimberjack has been up there. Our city manager's been up there. Our superintendent's been up there. I don't know if the rest of you's been up there. But if you want to see what it looked like and go up there and see it now, if you want to see, I got everything in my camera. You can look at it. You will not believe what it was. It was a dump. It wasn't a compost. It was a dump. And we still got people coming in there trying to dump. We got people coming there using other people's stickers. We got, it's first year, I can understand that. Mistakes, we make mistakes. We can change all that. But the thing is, I can't do it no more. And next month, my daughter's coming, my son's coming to go fishing, and my grandson's coming. So I'm not going to be up there in August at all. And the one Manny, well, she's gone for the weekend, so she won't be up there. So Jim and I are not going to handle it. We'll cover Thursday, but that's it. It's up to you to decide what you want to do. If you want to get me some volunteers, I'll work it, but I'm not going to work them hours like I was working. If I counted all the hours I worked down there and I got paid, I have hell of a lot of money.
You've done a great job, and we appreciate it.
But that ain't the point. The
No,
point is, what are we going to do
that's
now?
part of it. I understand.
You've seen how it looks.
I know.
It looks the way it's supposed to compost is.
Yeah,
And
that's
that's
great
saving
job.
a lot of money for Gladstone because we're not having to pick all that stuff up in Gladstone. So the decision to do something, you know who I'm talking about, city manager.
The
And
last
Mark, too.
commission meeting, the commission authorized us to go seek bids through a contract. So that's what we're doing.
But what are you going to do the rest of the week after Thursday? You going to leave it open like that?
We'll have to do an honor system for a couple days,
Well, good luck.
What are we trying to do? Pay someone to run it, or?
We need
No.
volunteers.
During the week, we can use city employees Thursday and Friday, like 8 to 3. But on the weekends, we don't have DPW staff on, so we would have to pay full-time union staff to man it.
It can't be closed on the weekend?
Well,
Yeah, we're
we said
closed 3
this year our
days
hours
now,
are
Monday,
Thursday,
Tuesday,
Friday,
and
Saturday,
Wednesday.
Sunday,
Oh, that's
8
probably
AM
the
to
best
8
day to have
PM.
it open, is when
Here's
people are
another
off.
fact.
Right.
Okay.
I got another fact for
So-
you. We were talking at the last meeting about the contractors. Well, I got news for you. 13 contractors I know about, only 3 of them went to Escanaba. That's $4,000 of the income that we lost because we're not open Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. It's because we didn't have enough volunteers. Now, you're talking about loan of $250. You're still not going to get them because these people work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So they're not going to come over there and pay $250 if that's what they're going to change it to.
Well, nobody's paid anything yet, right?
They ain't paid nothing.
No, that's what I thought.
And I caught them in there, and
I know.
I don't even want to discuss it because it's been a disaster. But the thing is, you got to do something. And it's up to you on that board to give the city manager, him, the goal to do the right thing. if you want to keep it the way it is, which it is now, and I have people coming there and told me, several of them, that finally Gladstone's doing something right. Now that made me feel damn good. It should make everybody here feel damn good.
I agree.
And people stopping and telling us other things too. You know, that they like the way things are down there and they like to see it end that way. Well, I told one of them just last night, I was there till 8 o'clock. I said, well, after Thursday, I don't know what's going to happen, but I'll tell you this, we worked hard. I worked for 5 months in a row trying to get, you know, Bonnie in, what was it, May, I got some volunteers. I lost 2 of them.
You still
But
got
we
your
also got some community service, which 2 of them were great. They went and helped the people empty their bags and everything like the rest of us do. If we got an old people, we got a woman 90 years old comes in there. Well, we
All
go
right,
help her
thank
empty their
you,
bags.
Ken.
Huh?
Thank you.
Okay.
Anyone else?
Eric Hughesby, 1403 Wisconsin Avenue, Gladstone, Michigan. My biggest concern is how many houses I see for sale in this city. And I went online and I found out we got 101 houses for sale. Escanaba has 97. Now, according to Corwell Bankers thing, is the most stunning thing is 13% of our houses in this city have nobody living in them. I mean, that is, and if you're going to go buy a house in this town, you think you're going to give them what they're asking? The biggest concern in this city is what we're paying for our houses. And if they would pay what they're supposed to, market value, then we wouldn't have a problem in the city with money. You guys really got to look at bringing up, you know, what to do about that. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Anyone else? All right, moving on to city commissioner comments. Commissioner Nemechek?
I just had a couple of curiosity items. I was reading the paper from the West End, Bessemer to be exact, and we had a problem with chickens. Well, they had a split council over a horse. And it says that the divided Bessemer City Council voted Monday to allow a Bessemer resident to keep a miniature horse. The planning commission and so on got involved, but they allowed him to keep the horse. He was on Iron Street, which is just like Minneapolis Avenue, right in town. There was a 3-2 vote, but they put some restrictions on. They said that he's going to be required to remove manure at least every second week, except in the wintertime. And then another neighbor said that they were the horse was much too confined. But come find out, it's 23 years old and it's had its exercise, the other neighbor said. The other thing, we have help with 4th of July with contributions and funds and so on. Over in the West End, they sell, between the little town of Bessemer, about 2,000 people, Wakefield's maybe got 1,000, Ramsey and Marinesco, which don't have much of anything. This past 4th of July, they sold over $100,000 worth of 50-50 tickets. And they have a big parade in Bessemer. They have it at 6 at night, so all the other people from little parades can all join together. And then the last float or entry in the parade is a billboard that gives the winning lottery number ticket and then the amount that that person's going to get. And this year, in the Bessemer parade, a lady from Hurley got $30,494 to have the winning 50-50 ticket.
Let's do it.
I just think it's amazing that this little town can, and then when you add up what Wakefield and Marinesco and Ramsey, the total is over 100,000. So the West End spent $50,000 on the 4th of July because they spend all that money on their 4th of July. That's pretty awesome.
Wow. Is that the community that you said has a week-long celebration?
They have a week-long celebration. They have 2 celebrations. 4th of July is a big one. The other one they have is Pumpkin Fest.
Oh.
And the cool part about Pumpkin Fest, I think it's really great, is that they have all sorts of catapults coming in now because they have a competition to see how far you can hurl a pumpkin. And these people now are coming in with flatbeds. And they got really sophisticated equipment. Now, I looked on the internet and the record for a pumpkin chuck, they call it, is slightly over a mile. And in Bessemer, they're in their third location because the first two locations were proven too small. But you know, it's something that, you know, we're far enough away that we could consider something kind of similar to this. And they're nearing a mile now, and they're chunking the pumpkins. And they're doing it with a catapult, and but I guess, you know, the UP guys, you know, the people are they're using all sorts of apparatus, and they're coming in with these long flatbeds and taking a days to assemble this thing. And it's like medieval times when you were hurling stones over a castle wall. I think it's really neat. I think it's something that, you know, we might consider someday.
Sure.
They call it Pumpkin Fest. We could call it whatever we wanted to call it, but anyway, that's what the West End's doing. That's all.
Thank you, Commissioner Nemechek. Commissioner Thompson?
Hope everybody shows up on August 10th to talk about the bond issue. I think it's important that everybody really looks into this and voices their concerns. I think it's something that needs to be done. And I hope that everybody, you know, puts the effort forth to understand that, you know, that the money that we're asking for is not, that's the maximum amount. It doesn't mean it's going to come out in at the maximum. It's going to come in somewhere under that. And it's stuff that the city really needs that they're not going to, our budget just isn't there to buy all this stuff. So look into it and find out about it and show up at the August 10th meeting to talk about it. Thanks.
All right, thanks, Commissioner Thompson. Commissioner View?
First off, if you haven't noticed, I just want to thank the Gladstone Little League for the nice tournament they had this weekend, and a lot of people in the community, Escanaba, Pioneer Trail, Gladstone and that. And there was one lady there that made a lot of nice comments about Gladstone, and she stayed at Pioneer Trail. And she said she's going to give me some Gladstones for next commission meeting, and I'll get her name, and I just wanted to make sure all the commissioners wanted to get one of them little Gladstones. I don't know what they are yet, but I got them coming for all of us, and she would like us to keep them on our desk.
You paint smiley faces on stones or what?
We'll find out. I'm just saying, it's to be announced. And the other thing is, get a hold of me, anyone in the public that has any concerns, suggestions. I take what you say seriously all the time, and I look into it because I got the same vested interest most of the citizens have in the community, hoping to see Gladstone 10 years from now, 20 years from now, in a better place than we are today. So other than that, I don't have nothing else to say.
Okay, thank you. And I have nothing either. Nothing. So next is city clerk comments.
All I have is the deadline did pass. It was the 21st for any candidates who wanted to run for city commission. There are 2 seats open on the November 3rd ballot. So 2 seats, we have 5 people running. Commissioner Gay is seeking re-election. Mr. Ken Levine, Dwayne Nelson, Mr. Mike O'Connor, and he's in the audience tonight as well, and David Phelan. Those are the 5 that are running for. There's 2 4-year term seats. So that is what the ballot will look like. If somebody still wants to run, they could go through the write-in process. That deadline has not passed yet, and off the top of my head, I can't remember when it is, but it's right before the election. So if you're still interested, you could still run. You have to be a declared write-in though, and there's a process for that. So that's what I've been up to. That's for now.
All right, thank you. Meeting is adjourned.